Hi everyone, Angela here with ElaCateDesigns, and I am here to share with you my spring collection of journals I've been working on. I'm calling these the Spring Bloom Collection. There was 7 in the collection, but I've already listed them on Etsy, so one of them has already sold. So if I can fit it in this video, I will. If not, I'll do a separate video for it so the recipient can see what all they're getting. So there are 6 here. There are 4 that are a little bit smaller and 2 that are a little bit larger. So we'll start with the smaller ones. I had some requests for some smaller, less expensive journals. So that's what these are. They're all very similar for the most part on the insides as far as papers go, and they have lace and fabric tabs. So they are hardback. However, the way I make my hardcover journals is with a medium weight chipboard, and normally I glue 2 pieces together to make them very thick and, you know, a little more sturdy. So for these being smaller journals, I just did the one piece of chipboard, so I'm kind of referring to these as the 1 ply. So they are still hard back and they still are nice and sturdy, but they are smaller. The Etsy listings will have all of the information as far as size, page count, and all that. But they are all 9x6 and they have about 1 3/4 to 2 inch spines. And that's upside down. That was just my notes there. So they are kind of unembellished journals. They have all different kinds of papers. Not all of them are coffee stained. I did a mix of them just because I've seen a few people on Instagram and I was really inspired by just the kind of mix and the different tonalities. So this one here has, from Nectar's Creations, the Letters to Rose, a few pages from that kit in here. I'm not going to go every page. There are some pockets, some Edith Holden, some coloring book pages, but just to kind of give you an idea of what's in here. This one also has, it's cardstock that I've printed and kind of made my own pseudo office paper, I guess you could call it. Let's see if I can find the front. And I've done just a little bit of stamping on it. It's kind of like, you know, graph paper or whatnot. I was just playing around one day. So ledger, music paper, some more of that Letters to Rose kit. So lots of space for journaling and adding your own ephemera, whatnot. So there's some vintage papers in these as well, and pages from different books. They're all floral. We've been getting hit every week here in Michigan with snowy, icy, freezing rain crud, and so I'm ready for not snow. This is the second one. I kind of call this like the retro floral. There's something about this fabric that just kind of feels a little retro to me. But then this is the inside of this one here. Whoops, that's upside down. I keep doing that. Duh. Sorry. This one here does have some pockets as well, and again, the mix of pages, lots of floral fabric tabs and some lace. So just so you get kind of an idea of what is in here. Book pages, some florals and botanical book pages, music sheet, and there's some vintage recipe book pages in here as well. So just lots of different papers. Like I said, a mix of coffee dyed and non-coffee dyed, and a few vintage papers mixed in as well for my stash. So that's the second one. This is the third one. This one's just a little bit different. The cover's kind of like cream, ivory, yellowish with very light purple in there. And the inside is all very neutral. I did it again, it was upside down. Every single time I'm gonna do that, I guarantee it. Anyhow. So it has lace tabs and fabric tabs. This one here has a little bit less papers, I believe, than the others, but this one is all coffee dyed. But the same kind of mix of different kinds of papers and book pages and coloring book pages and tracing paper. Some vintage botanical book pages. But you get the gist. I did things a little differently this time. I listed them on Etsy before I did the videos, because usually I do the video and then it takes me days to list on Etsy, and sometimes they don't make it to Etsy because I'll get emails and private messages from people that want to purchase them, so they don't always actually make it to Etsy. So they are on Etsy now. I will put the link in the description box below. All right, and then this one's a little bit different. This one is the hand painted fabric cover, and there's a bit of the kind of embossed leaf vine motif going around the edges. And this one I kind of painted this, it was almost like a robin's egg blue, and then I added a little bit of inking around the edges. I think it was like the Cracked Pistachio by Tim Holtz, if I'm not mistaken. And the inside is similar to the others, but the colors and the fabrics that make up the ruffles and the tabs are more of blues and purples and teals, whereas the other ones was just a mix of them. So again, same kind of papers, a mix of coffee stained and not, some vintage papers. This is a bit of washi here. I got some new washi tape, so I was playing with that a little bit too. I had said I was going to take a break from creating for a while to organize my craft room, and I attempted that and got very frustrated, and so I avoided it and went back to creating. And that's where this collection of journals came from. I had received, or I should say I bought some scrap packs of fabric from my lady in Kansas. Thank you, Sean, who is Faithful Remnants in Wichita. I've talked about her before. I'll put a link to her Facebook in the description box as well. If you're ever in the Wichita area and you want to buy some fabric, that is where you need to go. So there were some scrap packs of fabrics, which is where most of the florals came from on the tabs, that I started playing with, and then it just went all downhill from there. And I decided I'm just gonna make some floral books instead of cleaning, because why not? And this was like weeks ago. So I've been avoiding the cleaning for weeks. I did get some organization done. I got some of my laces organized. And I got most of one of my craft tables almost cleaned off where you can see the top of it again. But then I started using the space that was cleared off to paint more fabric for book covers. You know, it's a cycle. What you gonna do? All right, so that is this one. Some more washi tape, book pages. Ta-da! All right, so that's the 4 smaller ones. We'll go into this one next. This one's a bit larger. And it's a little bit different. It's a very light gray, almost whitewashed, and I did some inking with some gray too along the edges. And it's really hard to see in this light because my lighting is awful. But there is a little wild flower there in the corner. So this one's a little bit bigger and chunkier, and there is some stuffs in this one. But again, it's the same idea as far as the papers and the lace and the fabric tabs and the ruffles. My notes for when I was listing the descriptions. There is some Tsunami Rose in here. I believe this one's all Tsunami Rose. But there's a couple different, you know, printables from her in here that are all floral, botanical, whatnot in nature. So this one does have some pockets. This one's got this is a big, large paper bag that I added a couple layers of lace to, and there's some goodies inside. This is just a glassine envelope that I did a little light embellishing on, so you can stick something in there if you'd like. Let's see what else. Oh, I've got a couple of my embellished, this is just clipped on there. Sorry, my brain is not 100% engaged today. I've already been to work, and it was a rough day trying to get to work with the snow. But these are some of the embellished envelopes that I've shown you and done in the past that were just kind of sitting on my desk. And in my attempt to clean up, I just threw some of them in here. This is another one here, and some more Tsunami Rose. Because I was like, what's the easiest way to clean? Let's just throw stuff in journals that are sitting here and has been sitting here. So trying to use up some of my stash of printed out pages and ephemera and journaling cards and all that, instead of just hoarding it, because that's what I do. I hoard things. This is a big cardstock envelope that I've done some embellishing on, so that's good to put some goodies in. And this is just one of my floral paper clips that y'all have seen in the past. Yeah, we got snow last night. We were supposed to get like 1 to 3 inches, and it seems like we got more, like 5 to 6 inches. And a lot of the roads were not plowed this morning on my way to work, and so my car was fishtailing every which way. And I couldn't go to my normal route, so I couldn't get my coffee, and that just made it rough as well. The joys of living in Michigan in the winter. I don't mean to complain, because I would much rather deal with winter than summer. I'm not somebody that likes hot weather. I despise hot weather. Another one of my bags that I make. So I'd much rather have cold than hot, but anywho. And lastly, that is this one here. So we have one more to go through, and this one I saved for last because it is the most, I guess, different out of them all. It's a little bit smaller. Whoops. Goodness gracious. It's a little bit smaller in the sense of it's like 5.5 by 8.5, but it still has a honkin' 3-inch spine. And I know this one has over, it's upside down again, over 300 pages. There's a ton of sewing in this book, a ton of sewing. There's fabric tabs and paper tabs and Franken pages, and so I had been watching Nick the Booksmith. I started this book, yeah, maybe back in October. It's been a while. And I love how she sews her scraps of her hand marbled paper on the edges of some of her pages in her books. I love that. I do not hand marble paper. I would love to hand marble paper. I do not have the space to hand marble paper. So instead of hand marbled paper, you got just going through my scraps of, you know, pattern paper. I did that way. And I think even some washi too. But so this one, I believe this one has all coffee stain pages because this was one of the ones I started ages ago. The fabric tabs have been stapled on instead of sewn on. And that was because I decided to add them after I had already bound the book. So, you know, because there wasn't enough stuff sticking off the sides, I had to add more, because more is always more. I'm not one of those less is more people. Nope, definitely not. Never will be. There are some pockets. Franken page, some craft paper. So yeah, it's a hot, I like to call this my hot mess mix because it really is kind of a hot mess of things, but I love that about junk journals. I've done a little bit of collaging with some papers and some washi and little flower die cut. Oh, but I did put in here, in lieu of hand marbled paper, I used to be more of a mixed media artist before I found journals and journaling and making books. So I have stacks of papers that are like painted papers they're not like paintings. It's just, you know, painted papers that you've sloshed paint all over and done spraying and stenciling and what have you on. And so I had picked one out that was pinks and purples, and there's some gold shimmery glitter, and so I had done some of those in here. So you still got kind of that hand painted aspect. It's not marbled, but it's still painted by my hand. Yeah, I discovered junk journals, was it a little over 3 years ago maybe. I had stumbled upon one of Debbie Ann Parent, who's Ephemera's Vintage Garden, videos, because I was watching art journaling videos, and one of hers popped up, and I was like, okay, I'll watch this, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is my world. Some more of that hand-painted paper. So ever since then, I have kind of went for mixed media and just in books. I've always loved books. I never thought of making books. Never occurred to me. But that is what some washi I love. I think about it at night before I go to bed. I think about it in the morning. I think about it all day when I'm at work. It's my obsession. Y'all are probably like, this woman needs to shh. I just want to see the journal. I overcompensated because I didn't get my coffee, so I had a Rockstar energy drink, and then I got home and I made a cup of tea because I love chai. And I think I may have over-caffeinated myself before doing this video, hence the chat fest. So, ledger. I said I wasn't going to go through every single page in these, and I've been talking and going through every single page. So we're just going to do a little flicky flick, because I'm sure you were all to the point where like, hush up, woman. Or you might have already turned me off. That's fine too. That's your prerogative. Okie dokie. So that is the 7th journal. That is, no, the 6th journal available in the Etsy shop. Let's see, I'm at 20 minutes. I might be able to squeeze this last one in. That was already sold to Miss Amelia. Thank you, my love. So this is this one. It's a very bright blue, and it has the wildflower. The ridges, hand painted. We'll just do a flicky through. I flipped my camera around from how I normally film, and so that's why I keep going upside down. So this one has Tsunami Rose and the Graphics Fairy and the Old Design Shop in it as well. She's got some flower clips. Some tabs. And the mix of papers, I want to say, that was my notes. The majority, if not all of them, are coffee stained, because I had started this one a long time ago too. But, yeah, so this one's all very much blue tones, some teals, some purples. But you get the idea. A little bit of vintage papers, some coloring book, journaling. This is a big flower clip. Why? Because I can. I have an abundance of flowers, so I love making my flower clips to go in my journals. So she can take a look at this if she wants to see it before she gets it. Otherwise, she can be surprised. She's like my #1 customer. She has bought so many journals from me. She's the biggest sweetheart. I love you, Amelia. So she generally knows what she's getting when she buys from me. All right. So that is this one. That is all 7 of the Spring Bloom collection. I have a few more that I am working on that are going to be similar in style. I believe I've got another large hardback, and then I'm going to make a couple smaller, not traveler's notebook size, but traveler notebook style in the sense of like single signature. I'm calling them my jot journals. So those should be on their way here in a while for you all to see. Thanks for listening to me run my mouth and flip through papers for you guys to see. Thank you all so much. Have a great day. Bye.